drive over the property or won't allow you to drive over the property, you then don't have access to parking behind your own building, and that can be a big problem.
Yes.
So that's one thing. The other thing is that, like Horsfield Street, a lot of those homes have been broken up into smaller units, so of course the demand for parking goes up on those streets because of the way they're broken up. For me, I live in a single-family dwelling, but if my neighbor next door has the same size house and breaks the place up into 3 flats, maybe I could get 1 permit for my space, but he could get 3 for his space. So, you know, I find that's, even though if I own 3 cars, I can't get 3 permits, but same space broken up into 3 different dwellings or whatever can get the three things. And there's still lots of free parking on the peninsula, which is a problem. Which I don't know if it's a problem or not, because I know people do come in and park all day. Like, I'm on Germain, 2 blocks down from me, you can park all day down there. And, you know, I say if you had a permit, would it be good for the whole peninsula? But then, you know, on the other hand, the other flip side of that coin is if you live on Crown and you work on the other side of the peninsula, you would have your parking permit, you could use it all day for your place of, you know, wherever you work.
Yes.
So that's, you know, I don't know, like, how you could get around giving everybody a permit. Just, I suppose you'd have to stick with your block or whatever you have.
Yeah, we had quite a conversation in earlier meetings about whether we would do a permit for everybody in the peninsula. I think what we're hearing is that, no, let us determine as citizens that whether we should have a permit program or not, because it's a bit of a change and you have to get the permit and so on. I know we talked about that common lane, and we probably didn't get down to that level of detail in our analysis.
Yeah, but a lot of parking does access. I'm on a common lane.
Yeah.
You know, most of especially on with the row houses, right? You have to drive over someone else's property to get to your backyard.
Right, and I'm wondering if that's obviously that's a process of getting to know your neighbors and getting agreement with your neighbors that you can access your backyard and so on. Not sure the extent to which that is a factor in this study to further constrain spaces and whether more action is required to get that cooperation going. I know you mentioned as well the 3 breaking up the houses and the inability to get permits. Richard, I don't know if, can you provide some illumination of what happens when that happens?
Commonality going back?
No, when a house is, say, subdivided into a number of units, what happens with the permit?
Well, even a single-family home, if there's 2 vehicles in a single-family home, you're still entitled to get 2 passes if there's no off-street parking. If you have off-street parking, then you're not entitled to passes. And that's the same with the 3-family or 1-family. And that's true.
But thanks for raising that.
And so on, except for those streets, the rest of them are not part of the parking residential program. And I still don't have an answer to that. The other thing is that I'm on one of those friction streets, Princess, and there's been, at the first of every month, you can see the moving trucks in and out, bringing people in and out. So I think over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of people moving in with cars that weren't there before. So I'm often at 8 or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night driving around and around and around. And I don't mind parking around the corner, but I do mind parking 2 or 3 corners away, which means 2 or 3 more blocks to walk in the morning. And then sometimes I come out in the morning, can't remember where I put my car, I'm going around beeping for it. So I'm wondering, I'm right on the periphery of C&D. I'm wondering if I can park in another area overnight and move it when I can the next day. So those are some of my concerns. I won't be able to stay for the entire evening. I have a ticket for the Imperial, but I'm really interested in finding out about the new snow program, and I don't know whether that's going to be brought up or not.
Okay. I'm going to have Richard respond, but
You were put on my 3-year-old voice.
Yes, before I was coming up to the meeting this evening, I'm down on Duke Street. I have an off-street parking permit that I pay $65 a month for, but just walking along my side of Duke Street, there were 5 vehicles there that are new people that moved into the neighborhood, and they don't feel they should have to get a parking permit because they only park there at night and they work in the daytime. Another thing that we've got to look at too is all the new construction that's coming in, the townhouses, condos, whatever you want to call them. they're building garages, which is great, but the thing is, there's 3 to 4 spaces taken up for every 2 condos or townhouses you build, and there's no parking left over for people that want to park there, and that's something we have to look at. And as everybody's saying, there's no enforcement needed unless it's the 15th of the last of the month, and that's something that's got to be done. I do a lot of volunteer work, so I travel the province quite a bit, and it's really disappointing coming home when you're paying for a parking spot and not being able to get it because you've got people that can't get their spot on the street because somebody else is there, and they're parking where they can park. They have to park. That's something that should be looked at.
People park right at the curb and they're hanging. They're hanging. Their bumpers hanging over the driveway, and this becomes more and more of a problem in the winter because you can't see past them. You're trying to edge out, and then somebody else, when you see them, is coming down the road. So it's physically hard to see well enough because they're so close.
Even coming into the common alley.
Coming to the common alley, but they hang over the common alley. Now, if you complain to the police about this, they say, well, there's really nothing we'll do about that unless they're blocking the driveway. I'm not sure what blocking the driveway means, but, I mean, I suppose you could take a bicycle off it, but it gets pretty narrow by times, and people trying to squeeze into that extra parking spot. And some people do it routinely because, of course, it's easy to get out of the spot. You're right on the end of it, you just back across the driveway and away you go. So it could be a real...
Well, I guess one of the things in there is you use courtesy.